Hey everyone, welcome back to it. If you don't know who I am, my name is Ntavi, and welcome to the place where we have fun and do fun things, and occasionally where we have sit downs and heart to hearts where I just let you in on what's been going on in my life, my thought process, and how I'm processing things, essentially. And today is such a day. If that's something you're interested in watching, please stay tuned. Okay, guys. Yeah, man, I've been like really overwhelmed for a long time. Today, most especially, I'm overwhelmed with good things, but also I've just been processing some stuff, and I wanna continue that process with you guys. So where do we start? Let's start at the beginning of winter. So towards the end of autumn, beginning of winter. This is around October, November of 2022. Currently, it is March of 2023. Right? So let me tell you something. My aunt did warn me. She did give me a heads up about seasonal depression, especially in places where it gets really, really cold. And it gets cold for a while. Like for a long time, in fact. Not just for a while. For a long time. For the duration of winter. And I was like, I chilled, I hear you. And that's fair. And I'll look out for it. But I'm not claiming it, right? Well, one of my friends, Letaba, said, don't claim it. And I was like, yeah. I don't claim it, which is fair. But I also was realistic, especially with my history of mental health. I knew I was susceptible. I knew I would be susceptible to it, and that's just the reality of it. But it wasn't me accepting it or calling it to myself. I just had to be realistic about the situation, right? So what happened was, come November, I started feeling a type of way, but I couldn't put my finger on it, right? It started getting cold, like real cold, crispy cold. And because I'm an African kid in Asia, I had never been exposed to this kind of cold before, baby. Whoa, it got crispy and dry. It was such a shock to my body. But yeah, as I was saying, I started feeling a type of way. And usually I know I'm slipping into a depressive episode when my appetite says sayonara, And I probably only noticed like a month in that, oh no, baby girl, you are in the thick of an episode, because I wasn't eating as much. If anything, I was surviving on 1.5 meals per day. And one of those meals being the school lunch, because throughout the winter I was working. Well, not throughout the whole winter, to be fair. The beginning of winter I was working, which meant November, December. Well, was November really winter or was it autumn? I don't know, bruh. I can't keep count. But like November, December, the whole of December I was working. And we only got off work, I want to say first week of June. At the end of the first week of, January. At the end of the first week of January, that's when we went on winter vacation. By then, I was already in the trenches. Because couple the depressive episode, the seasonal depressive episode, with fatigue. Because my body was like, we're done here. We're really done here. Why aren't we at home resting? Right? So it was really one hell of a cocktail. So how I realized that I had seasonal depression, obviously my appetite was the first thing to go out, which is always a red flag for me, because I live for the food. I believe in food is for the stomach and the stomach is for the food, and they will both be destroyed. And then my moods were just low. in the valley type of low. Like, I was just down, and I was down bad. And I couldn't even figure out, am I sad because I'm homesick, or am I sad because I'm just sad and I'm just in a low mood, right? And that lasted a while. At some point, I even thought, oh, it's probably ovulation time, right? But ovulation came and went, babes. And I was still in the trenches. So then I think, then the month like passed, and I was like, oh, it's cold. And it's extremely, extremely cold. And this could be an indication of seasonal depression. Like, I need vitamin D. And there is no vitamin D. You know what I mean? It's in the sun, guys. The sun. So, yeah, that was tough. That was a tough pill to swallow. That was a tough time to weather as well. Excuse the pun. If it in fact is a pun. So it was a tough time to weather. And that's just something I wanted to share. Because that's just something not all of us experience it when we move to like these countries where the winter seasons are vastly different from where we come from. But there are just some of us that do experience it. And I need people that will continue to make the move from South Africa to Asia to be cognizant of the fact that it's not just homesickness that you will deal with, but sometimes you might have to deal with seasonal depression. And it's nothing on you. It's just the way, our mental is set up. But what I can tell you is to fight for yourself. And fighting for yourself can look different to different people. I've noticed that for me, I've had to really be conscious and intentional with leaving my apartment and taking a walk. It may seem like a small feat, but it really does wonders to lift your spirits, lift your mood. Just a change of environment does a lot, especially because it's so cold. You don't want to be outside. It's crispy, guys. Like, it's March, but it's still crispy outside. Granted, we've gone over the 10-degree mark, which is great, but it's still crispy. So, like going outside, does wonders for your mental, for your mind, for, the way you just function. Because locking yourself up in the house day in and day out, you get sucked into this like whirlwind and downward spiral. So that's like one of the ways I've been fighting for myself. And also obviously touching base with friends. I mean, come on, we all know that when you meet up with your friends, man, life is livable again. Like, you just feel like, I can live again. Life has meaning again. So those are the two things that I really made an effort in terms of fighting for myself with this current wave of seasonal depression. It's not a nice thing to experience. Another thing that I did was read a lot. Reading just, like falling in love with reading again, and reading novels on top of that has just been amazing, because I realized that for a while I had been reading like self-help, biographies, I've been reading a lot of nonfiction, and I think I've reached my cap because they now feel like a chore. And I'm like, I don't want reading to feel like a chore. I don't want to feel like finishing a book is a chore. So I went back to my first love, which is fiction, novels, romance novels to be specific. And I've never looked back since. Like, I'm back in my romance bag era. And I don't think I'm going to leave it ever again, because it's just so much fun. Like, it's just my favorite pastime. And that has helped a lot. Like, just reading and getting sucked into worlds, that are just so fascinating to me. So, yeah, that's just like a quick update as to how I weathered the winter season in Korea. And yeah, it was tough. It was tough. But I will say my first ever experience of snow was absolutely amazing. I felt like a kid again. Like, I don't care who you are, man. Like, snow has just this amazing, magical feeling to it. It's just, you'd have to be a Grinch to not see the wonder. I'm sorry. Not sorry. But you'd have to be a Grinch to not see the wonder. Although, I will say it does get a bit tricky when you have to walk in it after it has settled. Then it feels like you're walking on an ice rink. And that doesn't feel safe. Okay? So that was like the one drawback, where after it settles and becomes ice, then it's like, okay, so what are we doing here? But another thing I actually wanted to talk to you guys about is, man, like, I don't know if this will make sense now, but so I just want to preface this with, I am living in one of the biggest answered prayers of my life currently, at this stage of my life. I mean, I know there are bigger ones to come, but this so far in my 29 years of life is my biggest answered prayer. But I've hit an impasse. So I am typically what you would consider someone with crazy faith. Even before Pastor Mike Todd coined it, crazy faith. When I indulged and listened to that sermon series, I was like, oh yeah, you're talking about me. I 100% relate to what you're talking about, because that is me, right? So this has been like the craziest crazy faith move of my life. And God was like, bet. But it's going to happen on my time to give glory to me, right? And this is God. So, fast forward to now, 2023, in the second year of my manifestation of crazy faith. I hit an impasse. And by that, I mean, now it feels like I'm starting from scratch. Because in as much as God has blown my mind in how he answered and how he manifested this dream and this prayer and this move of faith, I'm just like, oh, so now I must dream bigger. And what does that mean to me? Like, what more do I want? Now I've had to sit with that and be like, okay, what more do I want? And also, to be fair, like, side note, I also suffer from like destination anxiety sometimes. Like, I'm always thinking, what's next? Where are we going? What's the end goal? And God has been humbling me a lot, like in terms of manna, like the concept of manna, like living for the day to day and not necessarily stressing or worrying about the end of the road or the end of the journey, rather, you know? So that has also been quite challenging, because I'm having to rewire myself on a daily to remember to live on manna instead of trying to salvage the manna and trying to save up the manna, you know, which is crazy. It's crazy, man. So anyway, getting back to what I wanted to talk about. So now it feels like I'm starting from scratch again in my faith journey, where not from scratch in terms of me having faith, but starting from scratch as in, okay, Lord, since you can give me my wildest dreams, you can manifest those, how can I dream bigger? I don't know. I don't know, right? So that's like part one. where I'm like, okay, this feels like now I have to start from the beginning of dreaming again. I know what to dream for now, but I'm scared because I'm like, if anything, this man, well, God is not a man that he should lie. But if anything, I'm like, this God is going to be like bad. And it doesn't matter how long it takes, because that's also an exercise I've been having to take part in my spiritual walk with God, is not caring about the time that it takes, but what am I doing with the time to prepare myself for what is to come. So I'm not even stressed about how long it takes anymore, because he has worked that, or we are continuously working through that. So I don't have deadlines anymore, but rather in my goal setting, it's according to your time, when you see it fit, when the time is right, according to you, but also being assured that my goals and my dreams are inspired by you, therefore you will make them manifest, right? So now I know, obviously, I know the next dream. I know the next faith move, rather, if I am to put it that way. And I'm scared. But I also understand that it's normal to be scared. Because I think what scares me is not me not achieving it, but rather that it will happen. And I don't know why that scares me so much, the fact that it will happen. I think also maybe it's my prone, like, you know how overthinkers are, nah? It's normally you overthink always in the worst case scenario. But I promised myself since last year, since being back in therapy, I promised myself that I would attempt to, or try my best to overthink into the positive. And if that fails, I will be delusional for the positive. You know how we can be delusional about things. I said I will be delusional about me achieving my dreams. So I think that's what scares me, is not the fact that it won't happen, or that even if it doesn't happen, God doesn't have anything better. Because if anything, now I am assured that if my dreams do not qualify to him, it means they're here and he's thinking here. Or rather that he wants to manifest here and I'm out here, you know? So I just want to say that's my impasse, where I'm scared to dream, but now it's scaring me in a dangerous way, because then I'm not doing as much as I should be doing. But slowly but surely, I'm picking up the slack. But also, the not doing is also tied in with my seasonal depression, because there was no intrinsic motivation to continue with anything. There was no intrinsic motivation to do anything productive. I just wanted to be slack, you know. So, yeah, guys, like, that's where I am. But between yesterday and today, God was like, I need you. I need you to come back. I need you to hear me and hear me well. And I'll tell you why. So 2 things happened. Yesterday, as I was sleeping, Sabu, my second or third nap of the day. Yesterday was Saturday. Today is Sunday. So Sabu, my, third or fourth nap of the day. I had a dream. And in that dream, I was actually encouraging one of my aunts. And I was telling her basically about, like, the confidence that not even the confidence, but rather sticking to your lane. I can't remember the pep talk I gave her word for word, but it felt like, in as much as I was giving it to her, I was giving it to myself. But it was more along the lines of like, you have to believe in what God has called you for. You have to be confident in what God has called you for, because He has already given you the capabilities to achieve whatever that it is that He called you for. Yes, you may feel inadequate, but God is not looking for perfection. He's just looking for obedience, right? And that was like encouraging to me, but also convicting, because then I woke up and I was like, God, I realized that I've been concerning myself so much with other people's journeys, that I forget that their journeys have nothing to do with me. Like, and that's when I developed the term like, it's none of my business. When are we wrong? So it was that thing, then I prayed and I was telling God that I've been going about this all wrong. Like, I'm busy looking at, like, yes, I understand the sentiment of staying in your lane, right? But I wasn't acting it in my mind, in what I consume, in just everything, right? So it was just a moment of reflection, introspection, and also just prayer and petitioning to God that, okay, I get it. From here on out, what's happening in other people's lives, it's none of my business. Will I be there to support? Of course. But in essence, it's not for me to compare myself. Because when you created those people, I wasn't concerned. Like, it was none of my business when you created them and mapped out their lives. And this I even got from this TikTok. I forgot that lady's name, where she was talking about it, like, in terms of comparison, where she was basically illustrating the fact that when God was creating the other people that we compare ourselves to, He didn't have us in mind. He didn't say, okay, I'm going to take the qualities of Ntabeling and then duplicate them into this person and then just advance here and there. No. He created all of us individually with individual journeys in mind and individual purpose in mind, right? So it's like a cop-out for me to look at the next person and say, why didn't God give me that? Why didn't He replicate that? Because it's taking away from the uniqueness of God in how He makes my journey manifest, right? So that's essentially what I was praying about. I was like, okay, God, I apologize, I repent, and help me. Help me stick with this mindset of celebrating what the good in other people and the good work that they do, and support where I need to support. But when it comes to comparisons, it is none of my concern. So what I should be concerning myself with is, how can I serve you better? How can I serve you better? How can I serve you better in the season that I'm in where you need me to be, in what you need me to do? How can I concern myself with what you want for me or what you need of me? How can I concern myself better with that instead of concern myself with what others have going on in their lives? How can I concern myself better and be better in tune with you over my life? You know what I'm saying? And that was the prayer. And I think that's when the wheels of my heart and my mind started turning. Because then later that day, then I came across this podcast, because podcast. I am a person of podcasts. I love listening to conversations. And I hope one day I get to curate amazing conversations, because, it's my steez. Anyway, so Then I come across this podcast, E.T., the hip hop preacher, and like some of his friends. It's called the Success something. Something to do with success, guys. I'm sorry. I'll put the name. I don't know why I thought I'd remember the name verbatim, but I'll put the name down here and I'll put the link in the description box as well. If you're someone who likes listening to podcasts like me, hit yourself. So I was listening to in fact, I'll leave the link to the particular episode I was listening to today, called Alpha to Omega. It's talking about confidence and the likes, right? But I wanted to talk about how they explode confidence from like a personal level to your surroundings, and then they tied it into faith and belief, right? And I think that's where I was actually. It wasn't just the fact that I had lost the faith, but coupled with the faith being a bit lower than it normally is, was my sense of confidence and belief in who God created me to be and what I bring to the table. So then that was like a reminder of what I was talking to God about the other day, or rather yesterday. It was like a reminder. It was like, Tabling, I see you. I see your heart. Even when you are unable to articulate yourself in words, I hear you. I'm hearing your heart, and this is potentially what I need to sow into you that will help you in terms of transformation. In terms of then when you say, how do I practically do this? How do I practically trust in you with every aspect of my life, and just not my career aspirations or my romantic relationship aspirations or my platonic relationship aspirations or whatever that it is, then how do I then practically build on it? How do I prepare rather for, what is essentially going to manifest, or what God then is going to help manifest in my life? So that's what it was, essentially. So those are the two things that happened, where God was like, it was like a pat on my shoulder to say, Tabi, I see you, and I hear you, and I love you, and I want you to know that I care about you. And this is the way that I care about you. That you're not lost, my child. Yes, you may feel like you don't have it figured out, but it's not lost on me where you are in your life, and you feel like you don't know how to believe in me for bigger and better, or that you're not where you would have loved to be, because we all have aspirations. Well, I love where I am now, but I told you about my destination anxiety, right? So I'm constantly thinking about what next. Why? Because I'm an overthinker as well. And overthinkers are planners. It is what it is. So it's like, so what next? Because I know I want more. So what does that more look like? And I think this, in essence, was God just nudging me and saying, I've already put it in you. You just need to come to me. Let's have this conversation more. Because it's not a one-time only conversation. Let's have more of these conversations together. Have the confidence that you are capable in the journey that you've started, in how you've started so far. Keep going. Dare to suck at something new, because also my next big dream is something completely new to what I'm doing now. So it's also that daring to suck at something new and doing it scared, because I remember Belief from Belief in Fatherhood, a YouTube channel I absolutely love watching, love saying that, freedom is on the other side of fear. So I want to be free. I want to experience that freedom of achieving that dream. But if I'm constantly leaning into the fear of, Will I achieve it? Will it be perfect? What's going to happen? So it's like I'm never going to experience that freedom. Let's be honest. And he says also, another thing that he says that I love is that rather have it 80% like done, like what you need to do, whether it's creating, whether it's whatever that it is that you want to do, whether it's studying a new degree, whether it's, applying for an ESL job overseas, like, or whatever that it is, whatever idea that you have, whatever goal that you have that you want to achieve, instead of theorizing it and letting it be 100% in your mind, rather have it 80%, but it's done and it's a start, and you know that there's only room left to grow in that. So yeah, guys, those are the wheels of my mind turning. That is my processing happening to you live. Okay. I'm being dramatic, but I hope that you hear my heart on it. Like, I hope that, I don't know if I articulated myself well or not, but I really hope that you hear my heart on it and you get the essence of what I'm trying to talk about, or the essence of what I'm trying to process, is that at the end of the day, man, do it scared. You'll gain the confidence along the way. Because fear, one thing it will do is it will hold you back. But it doesn't mean that it ever goes away. That's also a thing. Hey, it never goes away. So it's either you do it or you move out of the way so that other people may do it. And that's another belief quote. But yeah. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. And, if you want to continue this conversation in the comments, feel free. I'm always happy to engage in the comments. But otherwise, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I love you guys so much. I'll see you in my next one.